welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders. In green, our Category 2. In blue, Category 3. And Category 4, Antico has kicked. She's known she's coming into this bridge section. She's gone back over the top here. She's got Fioroni with her, and they are making the riders work because somebody has to do the chasing.
That tack by Menendez went clear. So Menendez now 400 metres down the road in front of this group of riders. So Menendez just pushing on here, and she has broken away from this Category 1 group. Reynard and Karana now 10 seconds clear of Olsen. Olsen has a small group, but pretty much that group are trailing down the mountain, all around 1 second gaps, 2 second gaps between them.
The FRB, the flat rolling bumpy, as they go over the top in towards the climb. Really being used well by these riders, and they are utilising the changing gradient well.
Antico and Fioroni used to battling each other. They've got Higuita in here as well as Barco Ossa. They are continuing to push, but Barco Ossa is kicking. She's kicking at 7.8. Antico is coming behind, but I think it's going to be Barco.
Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It is qualifier race number 2, 14th of May. We are back. We are totally and utterly refreshed after a week of not seeing all of our friends on MyWhoosh other than out in the world. And it's been great to get some kilometres in on the platform. My name's Matt Payne. I am here in the studio with Emma Martin. Emma, we saw some great action. And we even saw part of the course named by yourself, the FRB, the flat rolling bumpy section. Today we are on a very different course and something that's not so familiar to people.
Yeah, we are indeed. It's great to be here for qualifier race number 2. And this is our women's race. Last week we were in Colombia. This week we are in Australia, and we are on the outer loop of Australia. It is a new course for the Sunday Race Club, and as you can see in front of you, 35 kilometres for the women. It is 502 metres of climbing, with one Category 2 climb coming at 15.3 kilometres into the race. It's got an average gradient of 7.4%, but you can see from the map in front of you it is a really stepped climb, and there will be some extremely steep sections under the wheels of our riders today. Now, along the way, we have 3 segments, 2 sprints at 300 metres apiece, and that one climb, it is 5.4 kilometres long, that Category 2 climb. But then take a look at that from the top of the climb to the checkered flag. It is a 14.25 kilometre run in, and it is pretty much downhill and flat.
Going to be very fast on that run back in, and we'll see how that plays out, because of course in Australia we've always seen a very knife-edge summit where we've had some big gaps open at the top. Well, the first riders to go out onto the circuit will be our Category 4. They're the riders in the red jerseys. You can see they're lined up down on the pier waiting to head into town. So we have a big pack of riders here, and some very familiar names, 1 or 2 new names as well.
Yeah, so 92 riders on the total women's start sheets today. 15 of those, actually, sorry, 15 of those, because I've got 2 later entries on my start sheets. So 15 riders in the Category 4 race today. And some, as you mentioned, Barco Ossa, who took the win last week, is here. Agudelo, Jose Gallego, Pablo Vink is here. So really strong racing. I'm expecting 7 riders in the top 5 in this category throughout April. So some strong competition in here.
Strong competition indeed. So here we go. Our riders are getting lined up and are ready to go away. This start is going to be key. A relatively flat start, which means it'll be quite quick out from the pens. The clock ticks down. The riders will be released, and then they head across the pier. So basically a right followed by a left to take them down that pier and into town. This is the new start, new terrain for our riders, and they're going to be exploring along with us as we go out and round. So here we go. Qualifier number 2, about to get underway in our women's MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's Category 4 who are kicking off proceedings. Away they go, the right, then that left chicane. They're going to head shore side and then head up and we will see who's going to hit the slopes of the mountain first. Will they hit it as one big pack?
Well, it is an interesting course as we see de Guzman lead the group out of the start pens today. There is only 90 metres of climbing throughout the 35 kilometres, with the exception of that one Category 2 climb. So very little climbing on the rest of the course. Some rollers, I'm going to call them today, but a flat start straight out of that start pen, and you can see on that top right hand corner that satellite navigation screen that you can see that first small roller coming out of the pens. It's going to come at just over half a kilometre, so you can see now they're on a flat section of the course, sweeping around that right hand bend underneath this MyWhoosh banner, and then they are going to start to see the gradient go up on this first climb today.
They are indeed, and this is where you can see the gradient top right hand side starting to kick in. And like a lot of Australia, we have got some very steep kick gradients going 5%. Very realistic, it's not gamified, it's a real feel, and that means that you're going to get a real tough start. Bernard at the moment opening up the throttle, really just starting to stretch your legs, just putting in a little bit of a kick. There you go, went up nearly to 5 watts per kilo, but easing back off again.
Yeah, look at the stretch on that group at the moment. Bernard really doing some damage to the back of that group, Matt.
Indeed, I think those riders weren't maybe expecting this rude awakening as they came off from the start. You could see it on the course profile, but of course it's very difficult to then interpret that into how that feels unless you've been out and ridden on the world, and we do see that happening time and time again. 7% on the initial kick out. And I'm sure a lot of the category is going to be watching this to see just what this feels like and what this is going to kick out from the start. You can see those numbers in the red, the bars in red on the right-hand side of your screen. They are showing that the riders are having to push into the red zone and they're having to push on. But already we are seeing gaps opening up on the screens. We're seeing the stretch being put on. And over the top, Bernard just trying to push on a little bit here. 3-second gap. That is pretty good at the minute.
Well, it's interesting to see the rationale behind this, Matt, because Bernard has gone. Agudella's in 2, Gonzalez in 3, Vink is there as well. Jose Gallego is there too. And then we've got starting to get a little bit of gaps further back down now. The rationale behind attacking so early, now I think this is probably the only opportunity in the first maybe about 8 or 9 kilometres to attack. So Bernard has really laid some intention down and she's tried to split the pack early.
And if you are a climber and you want to lose bodies on the way in, maybe reduce the pace of the group, then a good way of doing it. And or if you had a great warm-up, maybe just feeling really good.
Yeah, well, the other option is, Matt, that everybody else comes back together and your attack came to nothing. But Bernard here continuing to push on, and the group behind her starting to make the catch. So Gonzalez, Jose Gallego, Agudelo, Pablo, Vink, all coming back to the wheel. Madeira and de Guzman with Sarasuk are about 7 seconds back. So it'll be interesting to see whether they make the catch as well.
So Pelagio at the moment pushing on. Madeira and de Guzman just distanced a little bit out the back there. It's really interesting, this move here, Emma, and it's broken things up. There's been a bit of a shake-up early on, and that for me is I think it's caught a few people napping, and now they've got to respond. So this is about regrouping. This is about thinking, right, don't panic. Time to make a move our way up, think about how we're going to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the first time we've used this course for the Sunday Race Club, Matt. So you're right, unless these riders have been out and about in Australia and taken a really good think about this course, that may well have been a little unexpected.
Right, okay, next category number 3. Our next riders to go. Again, another pack here, and we have our riders in this group. Emma, anybody in particular stand out to you?
Well, 20 riders on the start sheets today. Barco is here, Quintero, Higuita, Agudelo, Reyes is here, Litton is in, so is Fioroni. And now we often see fast and furious racing in this category 3 race. 11 riders in the top 5 in April, so really competitive. So we are in with Ochoa as we get to a 10-second countdown for the Category 3 women. This is the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It is qualifier race number 2 in May. And the Category 3 women are away. They are up, they are out of the start pen, and they are sweeping round through onto the course proper. You can see Category 1 and Category 2 still awaiting their starts behind them as the blue jerseys of the Category 3 riders are up and out onto the course today. So Ochoa tightly in this group. And now this is a tight pack start from the Category 3 riders. We saw a different start and a stretch from de Guzman in Category 4, but Category 3 all out of the pen together and up and on to the course.
Looking good at the moment. One big pack, one big group just rolling its way in and through. And really interesting for me, the difference in pace here. We're not just seeing that lone leader attack. We're not just seeing that one push. This group maybe a little bit more circumspect in their move, but I don't think it's to be long. Well, we say well, no attack. It looks like Alicia Antico just wanted to sit onto the front of this group. Antico, known for her climbing prowess of being able to go uphill, will, I would imagine, be relishing this course and the initial kickoff as they come out here in Australia. But at the moment, that pack are answering the push on and very quickly all over the group. And you can just see at the moment, it's Cabanathan who has gone into the slope on to the gradient and has squeezed on through, but the group comes over the top pretty quickly. Remember, this goes up to about 7.1, 7.2% on the steepest section, so still plenty of time to stretch the legs, and again, seeing breaks forming already.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a nasty little steep kicker straight out of that start pen. So 500 meters of flat and then straight into this kicker with gradients of up to 7%. Now, this group is less stretched, I think, on this section than the Category 4 group, but we are still seeing riders drop off the back, as it is Antico who is pushing on at the front. Jose Zabala, Emily Mabin is in here as well. Montoya is in here too. Agudelo, Lopez, these riders just watching the front of this group and ensuring that there isn't a breakaway, though we are seeing a big stretch on this group now, as we were seeing on that Category 4. Now you can see the Category 4 race on the right-hand side of your screen. That group has pretty much all come back together again, and I would say that is Group 1 and Group 2 that we were talking about, who was 7 seconds back, who have made the catch, and that is the flatland section after this small kicker. So whilst we have this kicker very early on in the race, we have a significant amount of flatter riding and flatter parkour outside of that Category 2 climb that comes at 15.3 kilometers. We're in with Maria Jose Zabala here in this Category 3 race, and you can see a large pack on the front, but a few just getting slightly distance off the back there, now starting to push to make their way back on.
And those gaps starting to open, the time gaps are going in, and every time you've got to respond to an effort, you're going to be putting a kick in, you're going to be pushing on. That's going to be taking some of that energy that you might have used later, and that's surely going to be the tactics. Great graphics here in Australia, here on the Sunday Race Club. For those of you who are new to the Sunday Race Club, 4 categories, categories 4, 3, 2, and 1. As we move from 4 to 1, the basic speed is likely to get higher. The power that the riders put down is going to be greater. The riders are set off at 5-minute intervals between each of our groups on the road. 35-kilometer race route on the Sunday Race Club with a variety of terrains and courses. Every week we have a different course, different terrain to give lots of different riders the chance to shine, to test their skills, to see who can ride and who is riding well. We also have segments, so category 4 on the right hand side of your screen, just entering the first of our segments. These are timed discreetly, so that is from the start to the end of each section, and that is not about first across the line, it's about the fastest time. So category 4 and 3 already en route, category 2 down in the start pens, and category 2 is generally the most competitive in terms of the volume of
Oh,
riders.
well, in terms of the volume of riders in the top 5, definitely. So 13 different riders in the top 5 throughout the month of April, showing the strength and depth in this field. So 26 riders on the start sheets today. Engstrom is here, Tan, Reynard, Sanchez, both Manuela and Jenny. Parra is here. We often see early attacks from her. Walkenhurst, Miller and Bardaskaya also in the mix today.
So let's see who's going to take this out. Category 2, ready to roll. It's time to rumble. It's time to hit the boardwalk to head in off the pier. A left and a right hand chicane for the riders coming out of the pens. It won't slow them down as they make their way out. You can see one or two of our riders going into the red. Walkenhurst just hitting some big numbers, just getting up to speed. But at the moment, this group are looking pretty smooth to me as they come out. Nobody left behind. And at the moment, certainly looking relatively tight, but we've seen in our previous two categories after this initial dip here, we're going to come around, and the red banner, the red MyWhoosh banner, a real good indicator. Although it's not an official banner, it's a great indicator of where this kicker starts.
Yeah, it is indeed, because it pretty much comes at that 500 meter mark or just before, as the gradient starts to roll and then it starts to kick up. And here we see the gradient now just rolling into the early stages of this first kicker. This pack are all together, and it's a big group, 26 riders in the category 2 race today, all out the start pen safely. But now the gradient starts to go up, and very shortly 7% underneath their wheels.
And this is the sort of climb that a punchy rider is going to really love out from the start, because you're going from not a lot of effort into a real big kick. It's not all that long. It's short enough to put some real power down to go over. So if you're feeling good today, you can use this to your advantage. This is the sort of climb where you're not going to be sitting there for 20-30 minutes just tapping out a rhythm. You can put some kicks in and really start to stretch out, and I think that's happening already.
It is indeed. Octeza is the rider pushing on at the front. 6.6 watts per kilo coming out here. This is an absolutely considered attack going on. Tan is following, so is Manuela, Sanchez and Agudelo. Van der Velden is there, and Reynard. Walkenhurst covering the move too. But you can start to see the damage being done. Again, that view on that top right-hand corner of your screen is superb for this. We've got one lone rider, we've got a chase pack, and then we've got riders now starting to be distanced off the back. It's a large chase group though, Matt. I think they're going to bring her back in.
I think they are, but that is a great way. If you're feeling good, put a kick in, get over the top, get your recovery ready, get ready to rejoin the group. But you've made people hurt. You've made people's legs stink. You've really made them think today's going to be a tough day. And you're putting them on the back foot. You're putting them on the defensive straight away. Great mind game to play if you've got the strength. And it might not work out, but you know what? Why not go out there and be the positive one, actually making the play, not being on the receiving end?
Absolutely. So Higuita, Daniel, Tejeros, Bardaskaya, Fioroni, Olsen, Van der Velden, all pulling Octeza back into the group now. So one big group, a couple of riders have been dropped off the back, but this is a large group of around 20 plus riders in this category 2 race. So on the right-hand side of your screen, we're just dropping in with the Category 3 race. Lopez is here with Mabin, Agudelo, Jose Zabala, Cabanatan in this group. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that's a group of around 11 or 12 riders as they just go through the banner at 4.5 kilometers. And that was the end of the sprint, though. To me, Matt, it didn't look like this group were moving through that sprint. They were just continuing at the pace of the pack.
They were indeed, and that, I think, for me says a great deal about how these riders are approaching this. They're looking at the end of the race, they're looking at where they're going to be. Remember, there are prizes for the top 5 riders in each category, rather than particularly for the sprint or for the mountains or for the teams. When we go to our finals, the team category comes into play, and that's where the teams can score 3 riders to score to give them that result. Now, into our category 1 riders, the big hitters, the cream of the crop, the fastest of the fast. Emma, who's your pick on today?
Well, 33 riders in this group. Manshandi is here, Geraldo Arreyes, Quevedo, Or Menendez, who took the win last week, is on the start sheets, but so is Gilson, and we've not seen Rebecca Gilson for some time, so a return for Gilson today. Fua and Marin also in here. Now, it's interesting because I think this could well end up in a sprint today. That's my prediction. A brave prediction early on.
We've not even set our riders away, and Emma's predicted a sprint. Well, maybe I might just go for a solo breakaway finish. Let's see if that's going to be the case.
Yeah, so we are in with the winner last week from Menendez, and we are ticking down now. The power starts to ramp, and away go our Category 1 women on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club for Qualifier Race number 2 in May. So as they cross the boardwalk out of the start pens, the pace is picking up. Morales and Marin. Fua is watching the front there with Kirana as well. They continue to move as they take this left-hand bend and out onto this course. But take a look at that already. We have 2 groups on the road.
So our riders very quickly up and away, and we will make a quick point here. So we do generally try to initially mention everybody by their surname. We often will mention their first name, but today particularly we are going to be mentioning a number of first names when we have riders with the same surname. Now, one of the things that we always do when we look at the notes is we're looking for riders, see whether there's people in there. Famously, of course, whether the Quadrelli brothers are indeed brothers or related or even know each other in the slightest. During the championships is a great example. Well, we have Catherine Marin on the front at the moment, and if we just said Marin, that could be one of a number of riders. So
there are 5 Marins in this Category 1 women's race today.
So we will be mentioning maybe a few more first names than we would do normally. Don't think of it as favoritism, more so that we actually know which of our riders we're talking about on the way through.
That's it, isn't it? We always have Jenny Sanchez and Manuela Sanchez in the Category 2 race, both really strong riders, but both with very different skill sets. It's going to be really interesting to see how the Marins do today in this Category 1 race.
And it could be a race where somebody like Quevedo, with her absolutely superb top-end power, sprint power, when we get those steeper gradients, she comes to the fore. When we get the sprint, she comes to the fore. Will it be somebody who can climb at a consistent pace? I mean, we saw that in Colombia last week. It was a huge climb in basically 2 climbing segments on one big mountain. That was very, very different to today, and I think it's going to produce some very different results. But already we've seen Justinian Menendez right in the mix here, Emma.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So up at the front here, Menendez is here, so is Arrayas Marin, so is Catherine Marin, Daniela Marin, Rosario Estrada, Julie Sanchez is in here, Biarhead is in here, Pena is in here. So a strong group continuing to push on, and as we mentioned, we have dropped 1 or 2 riders from this group, and another small group, 3 riders behind off the back of this group. Now, the other thing to mention is that all riders joining the Sunday Race Club start in Category 1, regardless of ability, so that our AI and our verification process can assess the riders over 2 or 3 weeks and then allocate them to the correct race category. So you do see a huge amount of variety in Category 1 that you see less of in the other categories, because riders are then allocated to the other categories depending upon their performances once they join the Sunday Race Club in Category 1. So don't be surprised to see riders distanced early. You know, they may be here to join the Category 4 race after 3 weeks in the verification process. But at this point in time, this is still a large group of Category 1 women. These yellow jerseys now up and over the first kicker of the day, and they are out onto the flatland section of this course.
And what I would say is, do not be disheartened if you've been distanced by the front of this. We have world-class athletes who are racing at the very top of the sport and of cycling esports, competing in the World Championships, in the MyWhoosh Championships. These are the best of the best. Do not be disheartened if you are not with this league group after a few hundred meters, because we will find where you are. We'll find out that level, you'll get that level, and then you go in with the appropriate category. And that then means that you have got racing in amongst your peers, which is really competitive and great fun. And you can see that on our screens at the moment. Categories 1, 2, 3, and 4 at different stages of the racing. Now, if you're looking at the graphics and thinking they look amazing, and you're watching on YouTube, you ain't seen nothing yet, to use the well-known phrase. Head over to Twitch TV. So it's Twitch TV/MyWhoosh Live. So if you go on to Twitch TV, twitch.tv/MyWhoosh Live, you will get this live in its full uncompressed version. So if you think it looks good now, guys, do it. Seriously, do it. If you're watching on a device, if you're not racing, if you're not focused on actually pedaling, have a look, switch over and watch on there. If you're watching live, the graphics are absolutely stunning. I'll make no secret of the fact that we, as well as our commentary screens, have on in the studio, we have a multitude of screens in front of us, and one of them is the Twitch TV screen, just because it is so good. We don't often necessarily refer to it for the racing, but we do to look at the graphics because we enjoy it just as much as you do.
Well, enjoying it just as much as us. Our 4 different categories of racers today are yellow jersey category 1, large pack of category 2, 3 and 4. So we've got groups leading at the moment in each of our 4 categories on the road, Matt. 4 groups of women, 4 groups of leaders as we move through the outer loop in Australia.
As you can just see as we keep coming in through these turns that we are basically weaving our way in and around a very similar point in the world here in Australia. Some great graphics. We're just going through the tunnel at the moment. This group already containing a lot of very, very good riders who've got a lot of experience of riding on here. People like Estrada, Maria Marin in here, Acevedo in here, Tanya Howeiler, one of our newer riders just off the back of this group. And I think Howeiler may well find that she gets herself into a pack behind because she's got Marin Pena Elzad behind, and there are groups there, and it does pay, doesn't it, to jump in with a pack. If it's only a few seconds, get a group together, particularly when you've got so much flat sections. Now, Emma, explain to us why it's so important to sit with other riders to be in a pack.
Well, this course particularly today, Matt, other than that category 2 climb that comes around, the midway point, the ability to draft on this flat course is absolutely essential for an easier ride. And that sounds really strange in a race, to have an easier ride. But you don't have to be the rider with the highest amount of power to win today. The only point in time you need to be at the front is at the end. And whilst we're seeing a little push on here, you can see the rider we're in with at the moment, Rosario Estrada, her numbers are the numbers on the top left-hand corner of your screen. So currently 263 watts, jumping to 343 because we've just switched riders. But they're going from green to black. When they are green, it indicates the rider is in the draft of the riders around them. Now that means that they have to do less power to stay with the riders and the groups because they are getting a steadier, easier ride in that draft. When the numbers go black, it means their wheels are out front, they're no longer in the draft, and hence the effort is higher.
And if you're not a bike rider, a really good example for you is if you're on the front of this group going through, as we've seen the attack go down by Menezes, being chased here by Maria Marin. If you are sat in a car and you're sat there, don't do this if you're driving, but if you're in the passenger seat, in the wind your window down at a nice steady speed of about 25 miles an hour, put your hand out of the window, it'll get blown backwards, then put your hand behind the wing mirror where you would normally be looking backwards. Behind the mirror, oddly enough, it doesn't get blown backwards, and it's when you are riding on the flat, well over 80% of your effort is in about that power. Now, through the sprint number 1, we have just run right through, and it's really, really, really interesting results. So these are discrete times. This is about the fastest time through. And the big news is we saw an attack by Menezes just coming into it. She's not got the fastest time. She's got 5th fastest. The chasers, Maria Marin and Catherine Furr, who we saw going after her, are in 2nd, 3rd and 4th place. But Jenny Daniel, who is a category 2 rider, is the rider who has the fastest time. And that's saying to me that category 2 have got the foot down and they are motoring on, and Daniel has the fastest time there.
Yeah, there's very little difference in time between our category 1 and category 2 riders there, but take a look at the difference in tactics, because Maria Marin, Jacina Menezes have pushed on with Karuk Quevedo, and now we've got a group of 3 at the front of this category 1's women's race. So utilising the sprint there, coming at 4.2 kilometres into this race to put a gap in, and take a look at the gap they have put in, because that is the chase group behind. The chase group now coming behind, but 3 riders clear. So Menezes, Maria Marin and Quevedo are clear. Daniela Marin leading the chase with Estrada, Manshandi, Biarhead in there as well, and Fua. So this Category 1 race really splitting up now, but 3 away and a chase group of around 15 riders.
Well, I think that's really interesting. If it is Daniela Marin who's leading the chase, I suspect maybe she's trying to interrupt the chase there. If you are one of the Marins, please do let us know. Are you all related? Are you all in the same room? Do you turbo train in the same gym or garage? Meanwhile, as you can see coming out of the dip just in front, this is at 10.9k. Alicia Antico ripping it up here, being chased by Rabaudo, another of our regular winners in here. Quintero kicking on, as Molina, Agadello, as Cabanathan are all squeezing on. But it is Alicia Antico with Rabaudo who come through. So Alicia Antico is the rider with the red hair, red bandana. Right-hand side of your screens, the grey hair, the white hair, that is going to be Rabaudo. So you can just see, so it's a cap today. There you go. It's going to be a red cap for Antico, and it's going to be just grey hair. I think with the plant there on with the rider on the front at the moment. That is Rabaudo. So just try and identify for you the riders, but they are being pulled back, and you see the chase is coming. Meanwhile, at the front of the group, Fua has made the junction. She's bridged across. This is now 4 in our leading group. Estrada is about to make contact. You can see her sprinting on at the back with the yellow helmet, making her way into the group. So we now have a group of 5 riders all together at the front. And as these riders bridge across, that gap is starting to come down because they are giving some draft to the riders that are coming.
They are indeed, and another group of 3 riders coming across now. So what was 5 is now 8, and interesting to see. So Moreno, Julie Sanchez, Biarhead, Carana is the next group back, and they're around 3 seconds back. So this is going to be interesting. So will this group of 8 now go clear? Or will that large chase group, who are not too far behind, make contact as they swing around this downhill section? So they're going to come down the downhill section, they're going to flatten out in the bottom of this dip, and then they're going to take the climb out. Now, I think they need to be really mindful, because it's really is the last place to attack before around a 4-kilometer flat section into the base of our Category 2 climb today. So this drop down, the flat section, and then the kick up is potentially where we may see the next attack. But at the moment, it's looking like Daniela Marin, Maria Marin, Catherine Fua, Nathalia Morales, and look at that. I was waiting for the change the screen to call the riders, but I'm not going to. So these 8 riders are clear. The chase group now coming back on. So we are watching Marlene Biarhead come through. Sanchez is coming through. Maria Marin is joining the group. So all of these riders now coming back together again on the bottom of this descent before the flat run.
So our riders coming back in together and making their way up. So the compression there, you saw that group coming together, the riders changing very quickly. What you don't want to be is a rider at the back now. You can just see Carana has come through at pace. Is this a carryover of speed, or is this an attack as a counter-attack as she comes in? When you come down on this downhill, it could well be that Juizia Carana is the rider who are really there, was fighting to get on and has decided, you know what, I'm just going to go over the top here. We're on a downhill section. I'm going to make it hard for these climbers on the way down here, and we're going to power on through into the flatlands. Coming up towards the top of the climb, right-hand side of your screen, this is Category 2. So basically, further across the flat, you can see it rises back up on that profile on the top right-hand side of our rider's screen. You can see the difference between the 2 riders' screens. Right-hand side, Elenia Cinelli doing what she does best, climbing her way up here. Cinelli, Badaskaya, Hermansen in there. Looks like Manuela Sanchez, who Emma mentioned earlier, Maria Santiago, Angie Parra, Jenny Tan, real who's who of Category 2, right-hand side of your screen. All together as they're coming towards the top of the climb. So if you cast your mind back to the course profile, this is, as Emma just said, the last key section. That is the section where we've gone along the flatland, we have the dip into the valley, into the tunnels, under the water, and we come back out again, climb our way out, and you can see Eleni Cinelli coming up into the daylight. A bit further down the course, you can see that we've got an attack, and it is going to be Madeline Pablo in Category 4. This is going to be our leader on the road with the most distance covered, 14.54 13.4 kilometers for Pablo. And that indicates to us, of course, that she's coming in towards the climb. Now, if you look at the top right-hand side of your screen, you can see there is a fine white line with a green arrow underneath it. The green arrow indicates Manlin. The white line indicates the terrain, and it comes from the right-hand screen side of your screen towards that green arrow. So you can see that she's got some terrain which is going to rise up, and this is the start of our climb today, and that is on its way. So she's going to hit that fairly shortly indeed. You can see that Pablo at the front has a gap on the right hand side of 8 seconds, because that's the time gap, and just as importantly, when you look back, you can see where our riders are.
Yeah, so this climb today, Matt, is a category 2 climb coming at 15.3 kilometres. It's got 404 metres of elevation over 5.4k. Now, an average gradient of 7.4%, but as you can see from our map earlier, it's a stepped climb with 3 clear steps. The first, particularly steep with a very steep kicker, and that's the first step you can see on that top right-hand corner.
So let's see how these riders get on when they hit the main section. They're still on this little run-in with its dips and rises. And remember, it's 15.3k, as I said, as we hit the main part of the sled, the first real kick up, and it will continue upwards for 5.45. It's an average gradient of 7.4, but that is not what these riders are going to experience. We know that because of the step nature, the flat, and in fact, I think we may well find that we've got a descent about midway up here. Not a big descent, but enough to turn your legs to jelly. If you imagine sprinting up a set of stairs, when you get to the top, your legs often will go a little bit weak at the knees. Mine certainly do. And that generally means that as you go over the top, then you're going to just have to readjust. And that is what happens to our riders when they get there. But it will depend on how hard they ride and who wants to push on. At the moment, they've got the incentive. They've got Pablo down the road, but our riders underneath that polka dot climb banner, and now on their way up onto the ascent of the day, our category 2 climb. Other end of the course, at the front of the race, well, no surprises that it is Menezes who's on the attack. She's being marked out here by Catherine Marin. So Marin with the white helmet here and the white bike frame. You can just see Marin there with the cap just coming up. You can just see all of these riders pushing on here. Once again, we have got Cavado in the mix. Real strong group of riders, and again, you're just seeing the responses starting to come. We're just in with Karut Cavado, the rider with the white socks, white shoes, black helmet, as they made the way up here and just centered on your screen. She's in the middle of this group, and this is a tricky part of the climb because we're now starting to come towards the top, and what the riders don't want to do is be behind by a gap as they go over the top. So the way that the speed works, whether you're riding out on the roads or you are riding on MyWhoosh, it's exactly the same. If you're going up a climb, the distance between you and the rider is compressed because you're going at a lower speed. So it may be a 3-second time gap, but the distance between you and the rider is right down. When you go over the top, any gap will get bigger. The physical distance between you and the other riders will get bigger. And that is what the riders are trying to do. So as the speed goes up, as we go over the top, you can see Menezes currently at just under 30 kilometers an hour as she's pulling up towards the top of this climb. The pace will pick up. We're now over 30, it's a 33, now 35. The speed is picking up as we go on to the level section, and that means that the physical distance, the distance between each of the riders increases. If you are caught on the wrong side of the gap, you are going to have to do a lot more work to break through that draft, to push through the air to get there, because you're not fighting gravity, you're fighting that push. So category 1 out of the dip. Category on the right hand side of your screen, so this is category 3 on their way into the climb, just coming underneath the banner for the start of the climb. So categories 4 and 3 onto the climb. 4 are leaders on the road, 3 just hitting the start of the climb. Category 2 sandwiched in between, they are on the running at 13.6k and 2 kilometers behind the leaders in category 1.
Yeah, interesting that that group of Category 2 riders, Matt, is our largest leading group at the moment. And Pablo still in Category 4, staying out on that climb. So Category 2, Jenny Tan, Elena Sinelli, Agudelo, Santiago, Tejeros, Olsen, Bardeskaya, Van der Velden, Hermassen, Miller, all these riders in this group. It is a large group of leading women in this Category 2 race coming up for 14 kilometres. They've got 1.3k till they hit the base of that Category 2 climb. I think they're coming in all together.
Yep.
No, you didn't disagree with me, did you, there?
No, it makes a change, I know. No, I was lost in my own little world there, because whilst you're describing the race action, I actually was thinking back to a little bit of history here. And of course, Cinelli is a very famous name when it comes to handlebars. So when you started off, you'd have a 64, a 65, 66, dependent on the shape of the bars. So these are pre-carbon fiber. I know, Emma, it was a thing. So they're aluminium bars. They were extruded from aluminium, had a sleeve in the middle, a beautiful engraving on them, and you get a 1A or an XA stem. Absolutely beautiful bit of kit. Polished up, and you get track sprinter bars made out of steel, so you didn't snap them. But maybe some relation. That's actually what I was pondering. Was
that what you were pondering whilst I was watching the racing?
Just pull my thoughts out of my head, and just for everybody there. So maybe Lenia's in there. Please, Lenia, get in touch. Tell us, are you related? Are you part of the dynasty that is the handlebar? Are they a dim, distant relation? Let us know. It's at Matt Fix a Pain for any handlebar related questions. If you have anything pertinent to the racing, please get in touch with at Biking Emma on social media. And don't forget, of course, make sure you tag in at MyWhoosh. You can send me pictures of your handlebars. I do quite like bike kit.
You are a bit of a bike kit geek, aren't you? We won't ask how many retro bikes are in your garage, Matt.
In my garage, there may be a number of Cinelli bars. Maybe we'll have to put a picture on social media when I go find them. At the moment, they are hidden somewhere very safe.
Well,
so safe I can't remember.
Well, not hidden at the moment is this catch about to be made. So Category 2, the leading pack, about to come up onto the back of a number of Category 3 riders and a Category 4 rider. So this lead group in Category 2 now making the catch to the back of the Category 3 and Category 4 races. So it's going to be interesting to see whether any of these riders try and jump in and stay on with this large group. It's a big group and they are moving fairly steadily at the moment. So around 3 watts per kilo. I can see 2.7 from Bardeskaya, 2 from Agudelo. So it's moving at a comfortable pace, this pack, and I think it's comfortable enough for these 4 riders to stay in the group.
And it's easier on the flat because you've got the draft. The draft is the draft. It doesn't recognise whether you are a Category 1, 2, 3 or 4. However, when you hit the gravity definitely does, and gravity will notice that difference.
Well,
so you can't hide from gravity by hiding behind another rider. That's how it works. So hitting the base of the climb, left-hand side of your screen is Category 2 with some Category 3 riders mixed in. Category 4 leaders, and this is Gonzalez and Pablo in the lead, right-hand side of your screen. They are at 16.97, so about to hit 17 kilometers at the moment. And that means that they are about to hit one of our leveling these. This is the first big platform on the way through, and I think they're going to get pulled back here. Well, they're not far off doing that, are they, Emma?
No, they're not. Now, Pablo was our lone leader going into this climb. Gonzalez has made the catch and gone over the top. Barco Ossa, Agudelo, Jose Gallego are the 3 chasing riders that we can see closest in the distance. Then another 30 seconds back is Pelagio and Madeira with that group, but that group is a lot further back. But I think these first 2 groups are probably going to come together there on that flat platform.
Now, so your Category 4 leaders, this is your Category 3 leader, and it's Olivia Quintero, one of our talented climbers here on MyWhoosh on that 9.4% section, and climbing 9.5. And this is what we said, it's not a steady gradient. You need to have steeper gradients to allow for that flat and downhill section. Going to be coming into that platform section. She's not all that far behind the leaders. She's 9th on the road overall as she hits that 10% gradient incline, and this is really going to be telling on the climb. getting the gear in right, making sure that you've got the revs really key, nice revs, sitting at 80 revs per minute, just ticking it along very, very smoothly there. Don't want to be dropping down in those 50s and 60s and just basically thugging that gear over. You're going to be using a lot of muscle power, and that has a limited amount of time you can do that for pretty much everybody.
Yeah, well, we said this gradient was going to kick and it was going to kick steep. Currently over 10% at the moment under the wheels of our Category 3 riders, and it's maintaining at that level. You can see the climb stretching out in front. They've got to get over this first step till they can have a flatter section. Then the climb will kick again. But this is now really starting to mix up here because this Category 3 group have caught the back end of the Category 4 group and are working their way through the Category 4 field. However, 700 metres up the road is the lead in the Category 4 race, and this is now 4 riders. So we have Gonzalez and Pablo, who are our 2 clear riders. They have been caught by Barco and by Agudelo.
Yeah, Agudelo making that, and I think it's going to become fire because we're on this downhill. This is the place to use that momentum, that pace, that running, and then it starts to ramp up. So we saw negative numbers for just kicking in, and then the pace picked up, and then they came together, and now they're on to the steep section as Category 1. They're about to hit the start of the climb, this slight descent across the bridge, leveling out as they come underneath the banner. We're in with Liliana Moreno at the moment. This is your leading group of Category 1. They're the fastest riders on the road. They are making ground on everybody else as they come through. You can see as they hit this climb, already starting to see the legs get stretched. We're starting to see this group push on. It's thinning out. They came in as one big bunch. I can't imagine it's going to be that for long, and watch out for somebody rocketing through the group. We're still at 25 kilometers an hour. It's only just dropping down to the 20 marker at the moment, and it's not quite getting there. It's still yo-yoing between 20 and 25 kph, and that is quick on here, and that means that this group are coming in pretty hot. Has somebody got that little bit extra to break clear? And when will they choose to do it? Will they want to break this up? If we do see a group clear with riders coming across, what you don't want to be is the last person to join, because if you're sat at the back, really, really difficult. It's better to be in that front group pretty much all the way, having to make that effort to bridge across. It won't necessarily be at a time of your choosing, and that is going to be tough stuff.
Well, it's looking like there's 12 riders in this leading group, and it's Manshandi who is the rider who has not made the juncture. She looks as though she's the rider out of this group. So taking a look back down this group, we've got Estrada in here, Carana, Quevedo, Morales, Menendez, Geraldo Arrayas, Fua is in here. So Maria Marin is in here as well. It's interesting to see who has made the selection, Matt, and who has not. Now, Manshandi is indeed that first rider not in this group, so she is rider number 13 on the road in Category 1.
No, 13 is unlucky for some. Worst numbers out there, particularly for the men's race, but it's not regarded as being a lucky number in some cultures. Will it be lucky today? We should be able to get back across. Got a quick reminder, of course, for people. It's 2 qualifying rides. You've got to get 2 verified rides to make it into our finals. So it may well be that some of our riders are choosing to put in a ride where all their data is verified, that we know that it's correct. You're just taking a look at Dega Mashandi just on the right hand side of your screen. She's tapping a nice rhythm out here, but we know that her heart rate will go much higher than that, and I suspect she's going to put in a measured ride today, which is a smart move, because once you've got your second verified ride, you know that you are qualified for the finals, and it doesn't really matter what happens in your third race unless you're after that prize money. Now, that's Mashandi on the right of your screen, left-hand side of your screen. We've just seen these numbers starting to flick into the red as these riders start to put the pressure on. They'll know that it goes to 10%, and we're starting to see a push. Morales and Marin at the moment. Estrada now starting to kick. Maria Marin is right up on the front here with Morales, with with Fua, with Moreno, and this is the front of this pack. And this is where I think we're going to see. We're at 13.7% as you come into this. This is a nasty, nasty steep section. You saw it swinging up to the right and increasing, and this is where the riders really do need to push on. They've got to try and keep with that group. No letting go. So here we go. The riders at 12%. This is the first real steep section, and this as you come up. So we are going to take a look at the profile. We'll explain where we are. So if you can see that 15.3%, sorry, 15.3 kilometer grade marker. That marker, if you go to the right of that, you've got that first gradual slope. I say gradual slope. That was 10%. You can then see it steepens before it levels and slightly drops down. So about a third of the way up the climb. This is where we're hitting. This is this 12, 13% section. But it's immediately followed by this slight downhill and fast section. And that is why it's so critical on this climb. And knowing where to push here is going to be key. We have a second leveling, 2/3, nearly 3/4 of the way up, but it does not drop. It's still slightly uphill. It's essentially what's known as a false flat, and it's not going to be so critical. Had we come at this the other way, you wouldn't have this big step, you wouldn't have this big flat section, and it wouldn't be as tough on the riders. This is going to be a really, really nasty section as they go over the top and into that flat section at a third of the climb distance. Look out for who is on the pace and who is fighting to stay with the pace. Really key for me, Emma.
Yeah, absolutely. It is going to be part and parcel of this climb that plays havoc with the riders today, and really is instrumental, I think, into whether we see a group come off the other side or whether we see a lone rider. And at the moment, we've got a lone rider in this Category 3 race because Quintero is riding. She's pushing on currently at 4.5 watts per kilo. She's moving now into the latter stages of this climb. She's got an 11-second gap on Carmona and Molina, 5 seconds further back to Antico and Agudelo. I think Montoya and Ribaldo may be back there too in that group. They are all seconds now back from Quintero because she is the rider currently leading this Category 3 race, and she is 6 seconds off the back of the pack of Category 4 riders, which you can see on the top right hand corner of your screen. But take a look at the gradient at the moment, Matt. It was over 11% and now coming down to 10.
It is, and we're not far away from going into the next section where it slightly levels. You can see that on the top right hand side of your screen. Watch the gradient and then look at where that green marker is, and you'll see these riders coming in and through. Going to be really interesting to see how this eases off as they go through. Loving the route at the left hand side, helping its way up alongside our riders. You don't want to tangle with one of those, but I'll tell you something, this is some ride by Quintero. She's now into the top 5 riders on the road, and you can see from our screens she's now up into 4th place. She's going over the top, and she's got 3 riders in front. She's pushing on here. If she can be with the group as they go into this slight leveling, she can make the most of this little leveling section. You can see they're about to hit it. On your screens, it's going to come steady, and then it will kick again.
It was interesting because Agudelo tried to go with her. Matt Agudelo tried to jump onto the back wheel of Quintero on this climb to tow her back up to these leading 3 in the Category 4 race, and she couldn't do it. She couldn't go with them.
And we're now hitting that flatter slope, which is where she wanted to be, wasn't it? She wanted to be with Quintero as they hit this section. Now it's a false flat, it's 2%. It does not go downhill, basically. It's still uphill, but it's not uphill as much. And that's why the riders will feel that it's downhill. It rolls on, it's a lesser gradient. And that's where that pace was. But you can see how quickly it's over. It's a much shorter section. So this now is the long run for the summit. This is the push up. We have our leaders in Category 3 and 4 together. Gonzalez leading Category 4. Quintero leading Category 3. Then it's going to be Pablo, followed by Barco Ossa, followed by Agudelo, Gallego, Montoya. Very, very much race on as we come on to this upper section.
Yeah, look
And there could be a lot of ground
Did
made
you see
here.
the size of that chasing
Yep.
group in category 3? That is going to be really, really close as they go up and over. But our category 1 race, it is Lorena Arias Marin on the driving forward on this climb at the moment. The gradient's currently 8.6%. We know it will go skywards, but she's currently pushing on Menezes, Maria Marin, Quevedo chasing behind. The gap is around 3 seconds at the moment, but I can't imagine that group of category 1 riders behind are going to let Arias Marin too far up the road.
I don't think they are. I think you're dead right. And I think what's really interesting is the compression from category 3 and 4 leaders, the leaders on the road, and the category 1 leaders. Category 1 leaders are already transferred across that downhill bigger step section 1/3 of the way up the climb. That group have come over the top. They're now on to the section taking them up to the leveling number 2. They're chasing category 2 leaders on the right-hand side of your screen. Elodie Reynard having another great race here today with Olsen, with Sanchez, with Berrios Serna in there, really pushing on. And they are just about to hit that leveling off section. And this is where you can see this kick is coming. Reynard just kicked up at 5% because you've seen that it's leveled off almost. You can look at the gradient here, 0.7, and then very quickly back up to 2-3%. And that little kick, she didn't want to get snowballed over with that group going up over the top. Reynard doing a great ride here, but that pack is really close. And we've got a lot of the real big names when it comes to climbing here on MyWhoosh in with the group. Great to see this race being as competitive as ever, but the leaders in category 2 are now onto those same slopes we just seen category 3 and 4 on. The final kick to the summit of our category 2 climb here in Australia on the outer loop course, and the riders now hitting 12% slopes once again. This is where the shake-up is going to come.
Yeah, absolutely. Our riders on this climb. So at 18.85, it's category 1, 19.58 category 2, 19.96 category 3, and 19.97 category 4. They are all now coming together in this race on this climb. And let's not forget, Matt, we've got a 14.25 kilometre run into the checkered flag from the top of this category 2 climb.
And for me, what's going to be really interesting is who is going to hold on to the fastest moving riders. They're your category 1 riders in the yellow top left hand side of your screen. If they can pick the pace and the speed on the way down and through, they are going to set an incredibly quick time. But they could have passengers. Anyone from the lower categories 2, 3 and 4 who can stay with them is going to get a massive benefit. Don't do any work, just sit on the wheels and try and hold on as the express train goes through. Easier to do on the downhill sections than anywhere else because it's essentially all about the draft and the wind speed against you rather than it is about being able to push against gravity. But the category 1 have got to get over the top. You can just see this kick coming. Lorena Arias Marin, who we are watching on the front of the group now, just towards the back of this group as the pushers come on the front here. Menezes are trying to keep the pace high. She's really setting a rhythm. Menezes there with the multicolor cap on. You can just see that Quevedo in this mix really starting to squeeze, but right on the very front of this group, you can see it is Catherine Marin and co. really starting to squeeze the pace up. But all these riders are in the mix. They're rotating around, and it's a surefire sign that they have got the pace and speed. If they do not break this group on this upper slope, then I think we're going to see a group sprint when we come to the finish, because there is nothing of significance on the way through.
It was 12 riders on the way into the climb, Matt, in that category 1 group. It's now 9. And taking a look at this category 2 group, it's Manuela Sanchez from Santiago pushing on here at the front. It's small seconds as that group just stretches, but you can just see on the top right hand corner of your screen they are going to start catching the back of this category 3 and category 4 field. They are working their way up well towards the top 10 on the road now. So category 2 really pushing on this climb, and this early climb in this race today, rather than a climb at the end of the race, which is what we've seen quite often on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, really mixing up the dynamics today.
It is indeed. Lately, we've had quite a lot of mountaintop finishes. We've seen riders coming in, particularly last week. That was very, very evident. It was really interesting to see who could climb a long, steady climb. This is a steep grade. Now, it's not as steep as we see in those 17, 18% slopes that we see in Wollongong in Australia, but the outer loop climb really does have very much a steep section, a leveling section, and a long steep finish. Category 1 leaders, left-hand side of your screen, approaching the 20-kilometer marker. At the moment, there is 500 meters separating Category 1 leaders from the Category 2 leaders. The Category 3 and 4 leaders, well, they are up the road, but they are not up the road by all that much. They are in sight of these riders, I think, and they're going to see them on the odd turns as we go through. Here we go. They're coming up towards the top of the climb. So this is your leaders on the road. Interestingly, Category 3 and Category 4 riders represented in this group, and you can see everybody wants to be together now. This is going to take them over the top of the climb at 20.7k, and Tico pushes over the top. She's going to have a fast time up there, but is she now going to work over the top? Look at that massive kick. That was 9 watts per kilo from Antico. That is a big power.
That's about momentum, that is, Matt. So that big kick over the top from Alessia Antico is about getting the bike up and getting the momentum high before she starts the descent at the moment. But whilst we watch Antico now rolling down the hill, the group behind are catching. So Molina, Barco Osso, which is the rider in the lead in that Category 4 race. You know, Matt, she's been able to stay as close to those Category 3 riders as possible, giving her some real benefit here. Ribaudo is 4 seconds back, Montoya 5 seconds back, Agudelo is not much further behind, neither is Quintero. So I think we could see this Category 3 race all come back together.
And I think there are more than one riders. There is indeed. Gonzalez is in there as well from Category 4. So Category 3 and 4, if they can squeeze on here, are going to go in. So you can just see Barco Ossa and Gonzalez from Category 4 trying to jump in. But it's breaking on this descent. And as much as anything, it's about where you put the power in to get that momentum going downhill.
Absolutely. So Antico in 1, Ribaudo in 2. Then Quintero, Agudelo and Molina are 2 to 3 seconds back, further back. Quintero is with them as well. So it's looking like we've got 2 individual riders clear and then a chasing group. But the group now coming up onto the back of Ribaudo, I think that is, that they can see there in the 4. So 4 riders here now chasing Ribaudo hard. And then there is only Antico up the road.
And what we've seen these watts per kilo go to 0, Emma. So they're choosing when to push because they're pushing on certain sections to get momentum when it maybe levels into the descent, and then use the steep section of the descent to rest. And look at Antico here, dropping down in that super tuck position. Maybe banned by the UCI, but it's definitely not on MyWhoosh, believe me. And you can just see using the speed, using the momentum. So sprinting across the top, sprinting into the steep section, builds the speed, builds the momentum, then carry that through. And Antico, all the time she's doing this, she's getting a rest. She's not working.
Absolutely. Look at her heart rate. It's dropped to 131.
Wow.
So Antico dropping like a stone off the mountain. The riders coming behind now, all one pack though. They have caught Ribaudo, you know, and they are now 1 second off of Antico's wheel. So the effort Antico has put in to go clear, whilst it paid off at the top of the climb, now it hasn't. Molina and Ribaudo all coming back together.
And they're going to make contact. She's had a rest on the way down. She needs to kick back in. Meanwhile, Category 1 are going to come to the top of the climb. Absolutely big push here. Catherine Marion's going to take this from Menendez. Are they going to push over the top? We are seeing 5, 6, 7 seconds, but there is a plateau on top of this climb. As they come up over the top, I'm sure Emma's going to be hot on that climb with the timings as they go over and looking at how many riders are in there. But it has to be said, that was a big push as they came over. 3 riders now starting to make a group together. Menendez, it is going to be Marin in there, and you can just see it's going to be Gerardo Arias. They are the 3 leaders. They've got the gap, and that was forged in the final seconds of that climb with Arias, Marin, then Cavado, then Maria Marin, and then it's going to be Moreno. But look at those time gaps opening up behind 7. Now 9 of the riders in Category 1 going over. Fua, 35 seconds down on Marin going over the top. She was in the same group at the base of the climb. So was Estrada. She's at 36 seconds, and we're still waiting for the top 10 Category 1 riders to go over the top.
Yeah, we are indeed. But Justina Menezes, Matt, her average heart rate there was 186, but I saw it go to 207 as she went over the top of that climb with Catherine Marin.
Ouch, that's a big push. Anybody who goes over 200, basically, all of a sudden, it's like there's an alarm goes off in the studio, because Emma basically goes, oh, wow, because Emma's heart rate didn't go anywhere near there. So
It doesn't.
Tell you that, but
185, and I'm so far in the red, it's terrible.
You're toast. You are absolutely cooked, aren't you, at that point?
I am indeed. I don't think even when I was in my teenage years did I get to 207, so I'm just jealous. But Menezes here is pushing on. Marin is here. That's Catherine Marin. These riders clear now. They have company now, though. They've got Geraldo Arias with them. So 3 riders now clear. We can see a 4th rider back there actually chasing hard, and that is, I'm thinking that it's Arias Marin, you know. So I'm trying to work out where Cavado is, actually, to be honest, because, in fact, actually we can...
She's made the catch.
She has made the catch, hasn't she? So we've got 4 riders now clear. So Menezes, Geraldo Arias, Catherine Marin and Karuk Cavado. Lorena Arias Marin, the rider we are currently in with, is off the back of that group but closing down. Moreno is 5 seconds back in this group as well on this descent. So everybody now chasing and trying to move forward.
Tell you what, it's a windy day in Australia. That windmill was going around like the riders' legs on the way through there as these riders make this descent. And the 3 riders behind, basically, we had 3 different riders. It contained Menezes. We saw Cavado make the catch, and then Menezes pushed on over the top. And it shows how fast they're moving. Just caught up with Cinelli, but Sky has been caught. And this is where there's a benefit for these Category 2 riders if they choose to stay with this group of fast-moving Category 1. It gives them the opportunity to get some draft and to really motor onwards.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've now got a lead group of 4, which will shortly become, I think, a lead group of 5 if this catch is made. Now, this then is the front of the Category 1 women's race.
Well, I think you're right there, Emma. Liliana Moreno, potentially the last rider who could close down. I don't think Maria Marin will, or Estrada or further, about 30 seconds back. That's going to take a concerted chase, and there are 2 riders versus the 5 or 6 at the front. They're on the left of your screen, right-hand side of your screen. You can see with that downhill that the gap has opened. So this is the lead of the Category 3. It's also our first riders on the course. They're at 8k to go, 27 kilometers of 35-kilometer race route complete. They're on the last riser, and this is that little bump that comes off the main descent, and then we just have some rolling terrain on the way through. Not sure whether it is going to be a flat, rolling, bumpy terrain, but it's pretty close on the way in to the finish. Antico pushing here. She's making them work for this catch here over the top, and making them work on that ascent. I think she wants to take some more sting out of the legs if that mountain didn't do enough.
Well, I don't know about taking sting out of the legs, but I think it's, well, I think it's going to, hiding to nothing, I think is the phrase I was looking for. Because I think that group are coming back to her. So Antico, Molina, Quintero, Agudelo and Ribaudo, I think will all come back together. I think Montoya is probably going to catch on too, and we are going to see a group of 6 riders at the front of the race on the road today, but also leading this Category 3 race.
So let's see what happens. Category 4 right-hand side, Category 2 left-hand side. The groups are breaking and reforming on their run through. You can see 500 meters separating those 2 screens as we saw them come in and through. And don't forget, you can get involved with the racing as well. Jump on to www.mywhoosh.com. Make sure that you go on, click on there, download the app. It's available on iOS, on Android, and on Windows platforms. Download it, get it up and running, jump on your turbo trainer, on your bike, on your smart bike, and get a ride in. Come and join us on the ride. Really look forward to seeing you out there and riding, and of course jumping on and racing. And with 4 categories, always somebody to race against. So don't forget, jump on there. Whilst you're on there, make sure you jump onto social media and have a look at the feeds. It's MyWhoosh on Facebook and on Instagram. It's my_whoosh on Twitter. And don't forget, of course, you can give us a follow. It's at Biking Emma and at Matt Fixer Paint, and we always love to hear from our riders. And that was great during the championships. And if you've not watched the championships, don't forget you can go and watch the championships race back. Some great racing for that $1 million prize pot, and some amazing action on the way through. Great to watch our riders in action, and it was an absolute pleasure putting words to the action across so many days and seeing who evolved, who got better, who got worse, and how those riders were. And that's what we love about Sunday Race Club. Week after week, every single week, we're here bringing you the race action, and we're seeing the riders develop. We're seeing riders move up through category 4, 3, 2, 1. We're seeing riders take a win on a climb because they're a climber, or sprinting to a finish, or having a good week or having a bad week, and we love to hear those stories. So please do get in touch at Biking Emma and at Matt Fixer Paint, and make sure you tag in at MyWhoosh. Let's see where you're riding. Is it indoors? Is it outdoors? Is it scorchingly hot? Is it foggy and misty?
Is it 2 a.m. in the morning?
That's a very good question. It feels like it to me, but maybe that's because I need more coffee, and I've actually made it a long way through the show, nearly an hour, well over an hour before I've actually mentioned coffee. That's going to be a record.
Well, our riders are riding all over the world, and whether it's 2 a.m., 10 a.m., 4 p.m. or 9 p.m. in the evening, we have riders at all different time zones from all different countries coming together on the MyWhoosh platform for the Sunday Race Club. We are currently in with the leaders in Category 1. Now, there are 5 women in this leading group in Category 1. We've picked up 2 Category 2 racers. Sinelli and Bardaskaya are the 2 riders joining the group and riding strongly through this terrain. So as they move through downtown Australia, they are through the tram station, and the trams are going past. We've seen the kangaroos in the mountains. We've got the trams of the city coming up for 28 kilometres into this 35-kilometre race. Now, if that was real, who would be taking a draft from that tram? But not this
Me.
group. They are concentrating hard on pulling through this race here. So we have Marin in here, that's Catherine Marin, Arrayas Marin in here, Lorena, Geraldo Arrayas is in here, Karup Quevedo, and Moreno is indeed the 5th rider in this Category 1 group. Now, they have a number of Category 2 riders in here. Menendez is in here as well. Now continuing to tow and continuing to pull this group as they're coming up onto the back of one of our Category 4 riders as well, and that's Jose Gallego. So this leading group in the Category 1 race now moving through the back of the Category 4 race as well as the Category 2 race.
You say the back. This is the front, really. Of the, it's because they may be sort of the back of the leading group, but they're by no means the back of the race. And I think it's the power and the speed of Category 1 today is quite impressive, because these are just the riders in the categories they're catching are jumping in with them, and they're struggling to hold the speed despite being on the flat or on a downhill in the draft.
Well, it's really interesting,
and they're rocketing, aren't they?
But it is interesting, isn't it? So the speed of this front group at the moment, as we see it split, is 32 kph. It's been around, but it's now moving up to 40. And this is flat. This is a flat section, 0% at the moment. So between 35 and 40. But the watts per kilo currently in the 2.3, 2.4. Just shifting up to 3, now 4. So they're fluctuating hugely in this group. So if you're tagging onto the back of this group, you've got a real opportunity to stay in at the moment, because this is not a concerted effort to pull away at the moment in this Category 1 race. They sweep round the right-hand corner here and go past the another tram stop, but this group not picking up pace and not trying to drop these riders with them. So they are giving these Category 2 and Category 4 riders a good tow at the moment up the race course.
I think they could have towed the tram rather than the other way around, to be brutally honest, the speed that they came around that corner. And you can see now on to the descent quickly flicks into an ascent, and you can see Menendez at the front here, just squeezes to the left-hand side in that multicolour cap with the white, the yellow, and the blue. The rider who took victory last time round. Now, we're going back to the very front of the race at the moment. This is at 31.1, so they're into their last 4 kilometres here. This is going to be really, really telling. And one of the reasons we're back is because it's the end of the segment as we come underneath the blue arch. This is our sprint number 2. And this is going to give us a good indication of who's really feeling some quick legs today. Is anybody going to use it as a chance to break clear? I don't think they are, but I do think it is going to be a good indicator of that group dynamic.
Yeah, well, as these women continue to move on the right-hand side of your screen, this is our Category 3 race. We are watching Category 3 coming up at 31.5. They are not far ahead now of this Category 1 lead group as we continue to move through the race. 35 kilometres in distance today. So all of our leaders in these groups now into the last 5 kilometres of our race.
Yep, moving on nicely, and I think, Emma, this is going to build to a real crescendo. They're all going to come in pretty much to the line, very close together as the Category 1 pack are trying to close down on the leaders on the road, who are our Category 3 sandwiched in there. You can see we've got our Category 2 riders, our Category 3 riders. Very, very quick today out on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, some fast riders, and gotta say, before getting to the finish, I like this course. I think it's produced some great racing with that middle section, with that climb. It's shown who knows how to ride the climbs,
Wow.
and just as importantly, who knows how to rest on the descent.
It's definitely mixed things up a bit today in Australia. So Moreno, Marin, all in this group with Geraldo Arias. Quevedo is in here too. Fua is on the chase, you know. So I'm taking a look a little bit behind on these numbers to try and work out where the chase is. So we've got Maria Marin and Catherine Fua are 35 seconds back at the moment. I think Estrada is with them as well. She is indeed. So 3 riders chasing at the moment in this Category 1 race, but this pack at the front now with 4 kilometres to go.
So 4K to go. One rider's mixing it up with this group. That is Elenia Cinelli from Category 2. One other rider in there as well. They're going to be coming through underneath the banner at the moment. And you can just see that they are not going to contest this, and they are just using that speed. Quevedo just being distanced a little bit off the back here. And Quevedo experienced enough, I'm sure, to squeeze on. Sits just inside that draft. You can see the numbers stayed in green, managing that pace, managing the positioning there to make sure that she didn't get distanced on the way through. Really smart riding. Now, Bardescaya and Cinelli in this group, they're getting a very quick ride as they go in and through. And you can see that Bardescaya and Cinelli 5th and 6th as they came in underneath the line. You can see that Ribaudo's time and Pablo's time, Antiga's time, everybody's time here, very, very similar, only a few seconds separating. And I think this is about who can get to the finish with the leading group in their category and then has a kick. And that's surely now what the riders are going to be thinking about. We are into the last, what, 3K, Emma?
Yeah, they are all thinking about that finish. They are all thinking about that checkered flag. We have groups on the road now, and with the final run-in of around 3 kilometres for this Category 1 lead bunch, I think their head is on the final sprint now. And take a look over on the right-hand side of your screen. This is the chasing group of Fua, Marin, and Estrada, and they've got Jose Gallego, which is one of our Category 4 riders, in there as well. Now that is the chase group on the road, and they are around 250 metres behind the leading group in the Category 1 race. Now further down the road, this is the leading group on the race today, and this is the lead of our Category 3 race. Ribaudo and Quintero side by side. Agudelo 4 seconds back, then it's 8 seconds back to Alessia Antico, so don't discount Antico at the moment. The gap to 5th, Molena, 50 seconds. So it is Quintero and Ribaudo at the moment with Agudelo and Antico. They are 4 riders in the lead of this Category 3 race, but Rebaudo and Quintero are battling it out at the moment for 1 and 2.
And if you want to identify them, it's Rebaudo without the helmet. It's Quintero with the white helmet on there. So these are the two riders on your screen. They are fast approaching their last K. In fact, they're now into their last kilometre. Behind it's another further 500 meters or so to the leading group in Category 2. But I think our first finishes are going to come from Quintero and Rebaudo. And Tico is pushing to try and get back with them. But Rebaudo and Quintero, I think this is going to be a two-up rider sprint. They're on the way in towards that finish. They're now at 650 meters to go. It's coming down. It's absolutely rocketing here. Who's got the power? We know Rebaudo is a proven race winner, the Italian, up against the Colombian here. This is going to be a really interesting finish because it's quick. We are on this downhill. What's gap back to Antico and Agudelo? It's 5 seconds and holding. But look at the power now from Quintero, nearly 7 watts per kilo. It's over 7 watts a kilo.
Yeah, Quintero's gone long with 300 meters to go. Quintero's kicked at 7, now down to 5. Rebaudo has yet to wind her sprint up. She's utilizing the draft and coming up onto Quintero. Is Rebaudo going to kick? Because Quintero has kicked again. Quintero has pushed up. She's got 100 meters to go. She's going to come round this left-hand bend and see the finish line. Quintero is going to take it. Rebaudo kicks late. Rebaudo not going to make it. Quintero is your winner today in the Category 3 race on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club.
And then followed over the line by Agudelo and Antico. They are your top 4 riders who are already home. They're going to be followed by Molina, but you can see now this is the run for the line in the Category 2. It's also got our Category 4 leader who's managed to stay in there in the shape of Gonzalez as well. So Gonzalez is going to be in the red. We're going to try and focus, though, on the sprint as well. So Gonzalez are leading in the red for Category 4. We've got people contesting Category 3 in the blue. It's a sprint, though, between the Category 2 riders. Who's going to wind this up at the right time? They saw Quintero go early, as Emma said. It's about getting that kick down fast because the banner is round the corner. This is the run for the line. It's being led out by Sanchez. Sanchez now is winding. She's got Baldini behind. Then it's Tajeros, but look at this Sanchez. She's got the measure of them. They're not going to get her. It's going to be Sanchez who takes it. It's got to be a fast old finish. What a result. I'll tell you something, Emma. I'm glad I didn't need to call all the way through that top 10 as we see Viviana Gonzalez go over the line in the red jersey there for Category number 4. She's going to take the win, and just coming in, it is 700 meters to go for the Category 1 leaders.
It is indeed, and we are in with Karuk Quevedo at the moment. She's with Jacina Menendez. We have Marin in here as well. Fua and Maria Marin have not made the catch. They are 45 seconds back. So this is going to be our lead in the Category 1 race. We've got 6 riders in here in Category 1, 3 Category 2 and 1 Category 4 as they come into the last 500 meters of the Sunday Race Club. This is qualifier number 2 in May, and it's Menendez who has gone early. She's gone with 400 meters at 13 watts per kilo. She is kicking and kicking hard. The response is coming from behind from Geraldo Arrayas. Moreno is also kicking, but Quevedo is there, but Geraldo Arrayas is coming fast. This is going to be so quick as they swing round the corner and the finish line comes upon them. But Menendez is the rider out front. Can Menendez hold this to the line? But Geraldo Arrayas is coming. Geraldo Arrayas and Quevedo come through over the top, I think, of Menendez.
They did indeed. Well, that was Karuk Quevedo who came through, taking in there from Geraldo Arrayas, then Moreno, then Menendez. What a finish there. And look at the time gap, 0.115 of a second between Quevedo and Geraldo. Quevedo's sprint is phenomenal, and that is reflected there in that race win. Taking it from Geraldo, then Moreno, then Menendez, who led that sprint out. Then it is Catherine Marin from Lorena Reyes. Marin, they are 5th and 6th places. You can see the summary there also of our Category 2 at the moment. That is Manuela Sanchez, Berrio Serna, Tajeros, Pardini, Olsen and Osario. who came through at the top of the category 2. What great racing. What a great course. Please can we come back, boss, at some point?
That
Because I
was good, wasn't
absolutely
it?
like. I think this is great, and it's all part of racing on MyWhoosh. So don't forget, this is qualifier race number 2. We will be back with the men's qualifier. And that's going to be after a short break. Please do subscribe, whether that is on Twitch TV or, of course, on sure you give me a follow on social media, please. That is at Matt Fixer Bain. You can get hold of Emma Martin. Emma, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me at Biking Emma on Instagram. Please do get in touch, or you can get in touch with at Full Speed Events.
And don't forget, of course, at MyWhoosh on all of the social media platforms. It's been an absolute pleasure putting words to the action. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you're going to jump on and join us riding in the woods as well as out and racing. We will see you for the men's race from Emma, from myself, and from all of the team behind the scenes who make all of this happen. A big, big thank you for watching. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.